That's pretty good.
Targeting is hard.
That's pretty good. Again, you were like holding the balls. I like that.
So, Dennis, it's been...
I know. Abrupt cancellation. I was doing contract work, and I had another guy I was paying, and he, by all rights, was expected to be done by 3:30, but that's if he started at 8. He didn't start at 10, even though he worked breakneck speed. It was clear to me by 3 that we needed the full day, and I couldn't leave him there on the roof by himself.
That's not good.
Unexpected. But anyway, the project's done. Champagne and toast. That part of the project. It's ongoing. It's a house that's going up for sale.
Well, congratulations. But yes, we haven't spoken since our drowning ourselves in sorrow.
Our post-election
shit show.
That's it. Well, interesting starting point in that case then, because there's this existential political feeling I had, and then I want to follow it up with a piece of some data.
Okay.
But I got the feeling when it was all over, that I didn't think that I had the energy to keep up with it for the next 4 years. It made me too unhappy.
Yeah.
It's been a miserable part of
You're not the only one.
It caused me stress. I'm not the only one. It's a legitimate thing that's going on. Well, as it turns out, the data's in, and the majority of folks who tuned in 2016 have tuned out. And MSNBC and CNN viewership has plummeted. The stuff is just plummeting because people are saying, you know what? They got him. Let them watch what he's doing, whatever. And of course, this morning when he nominated everybody but freaking Popeye for a fucking cabinet position.
Sure.
And just people he knew from television.
Yep. Yep.
That's and they're loyal to him. The hearings, the confirmation hearings, won't be until after January, and it's months away. This is all they're going to be talking about for the next 2 months, and then they're going to do it, and it's another month, and then and it's in another thing, and another, and it's like, I don't know. No more TV, perhaps, and
it's exhausting because it's just the same shit over and over again, and also, but like that is Trump's superpower of having some craziness in the next news cycle every day.
Yeah.
But like as you say it, it's like, oh, he's nominated. He's been the fastest to nominate 12 people in 12 days or whatever. And yeah, but like, has he shot that wad? And now he's still going to come out and say nonsense bullshit to keep our attention because that's his MO.
Assuming he doesn't run again and he doesn't pull an FDR, which is...
Whoa, hold on. Let's stick to the next couple months.
Oh.
Like, are you not entertained, to quote a great movie?
Not. This is stuff that is in my mind as the same anger-inspiring bullshit that has been making me angry for years. And so...
But it keeps you watching. The anger.
Well, so that's an interesting question. That could be tested, but it certainly is a habit, regardless of the whatever happens to be. The other thing is I live with someone who loves to watch the evening news,
right?
And I love to watch Sunday morning news. So there's some entertainment there depending on who's being interviewed and whatnot. But I could limit myself to a Sunday morning show and don't read the shit on my feeds, and don't watch the evening news. Just do it once a week. Get a summary, and save myself hours and hours and hours of time to do other things and really probably reduce my stress.
Yeah,
that's where I'm headed.
There's a political podcast that I listen to where they were just like right up to the minute until the election. Oh my God, these are the polls. These are da, 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 da. And after the election, one of them just like stopped watching the news and looking at politics, and by doing so, he was able to sort of psychically connect to the undecided voter that doesn't pay attention to any of this shit any of the time, and to be like, oh yeah, I've heard of that Trump guy, but I don't know what he talks about or does anything.
Yeah, I don't follow
anything.
that.
I don't follow any of that, and to understand what it's like to be like the great metaphor is like some sport that you don't follow. Like if I asked you about the cricket standings,
right,
you would just be like, I mean, I know that that's a thing.
And if you told me something, I'd say, yeah, whatever. I don't follow it.
Right, exactly.
It's not interesting.
And so I think a lot of the voters are that kind of person that is just like, yeah, I don't follow any of that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the bullshit, sexist, narcissist shit that he's said, but yeah, I've heard that he's going to change things. So, boom. And it's like, that's not like, that's a totally legitimate way to live, I guess, in the same way that I don't feel like I need to follow the cricket scores.
Yeah. Well, when I was up north fishing that day, voting Tuesday.
Yeah.
Stopped at the diner, they serve beer. Nice, really cool place in Newaygo, Michigan, called the River Stop Cafe. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Food and shit. But I always have a good amber on in a can, or on tap even. And stopped and said, "Wow, today's quite a day." I said to my person who was a server and cleaning up and whatnot, and she said,
"Why?"
I suppose.
Yeah.
And I said, "No." She said, "Oh," she said, "Not to me." She said, "Not to me." And I said, "Oh," I said, "You don't care who's president of the United States?" And she said, "No, not at all. I don't care."
Why would I? Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact is, who am I talking to? Let's just propose. It was a woman. This is her second job.
Right.
She's got 2 kids.
Yep.
She's a stay-at-home mom.
Yep.
She's trying to put groceries on the table. Stuff's expensive. It doesn't matter who's president. She can barely. She doesn't have a lot of extra income.
Yep.
Saves up enough for Christmas presents.
Barely.
Know,
Yep.
Just enough to pay the bills, and she's not getting anywhere. Obama promised her nothing. It didn't happen for her. And then Bush or Trump promised, and
Sure.
it didn't happen. And then Biden, and it didn't happen. In fact, it got worse. And groceries and milk and diapers and lunch meat, bread, a loaf of bread. That's what matters to her. And then Biden didn't work, so she's not going to go for Harris or even go at all because it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't change things for her in a way that she recognizes. She doesn't care about the rest of the world. She doesn't care about the rest of the products that
She's thinking about Israel and Gaza and that nonsense. It's like, yeah.
She doesn't have time to even listen to the radio.
Yep.
She doesn't listen to the news on the radio. She listens to a country station.
And so this is a fundamental problem, or
no? It's a
success of democracy. Right.
It's a challenge. The thing is that people get wrong is half the people in this country. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah.
No, not half the people. Half the voters. That's a quarter of the people. So
Christ, yes.
just
Yeah.
just it's simple math. And the issue, can certainly be, we'll look backwards. Well, he got 3% improvement in his base in 2,940 counties in the country. 3% or less better. And that was enough to give him all the electoral votes, everything he needed. That's it. He never stopped talking to his base. And Harris and the Democrats got 0 counties growth. 0. In the same counties all across this country. And so the numbers are small comparatively when you consider in the algorithm the number of people in this country are eligible to vote and don't. And the question for the Democrats is, number one, of course, people get the idea you're not listening, you've become the elites. Obama comes down here and talks to his brothers, and we wonder who the fuck does he think he is, telling us that we got issues with voting for a woman. That ain't why we're not voting for her. We're not voting for her because things are more expensive for us. She's been in there 4 years. And so all this anger on and on and on and on. No promises not made. That message, sure. But the other thing is, what are you going to do to tap into the other 50% of the country? One would consider statistically that the greater number of those unvoting public are going to be as equally divided as the ones who are here. But the question is, who's going to get them? Well, Trump, he expanded it by 3% or less. His base. They're not getting at they're not, and this elite thing is a dominant factor when talking to anybody. Like the Latinos even saying, you know what? I'll take it under my consideration somebody calling Puerto Rico a floating piece of garbage. That's not a big deal that somebody's stupid enough to say that. What's a big deal to me is that I got these migrants coming in and they're fighting for the same cheap jobs that I and my family had because we're immigrants too. And we got here legally. I'm in my 50s. We're in a second generation here. And the jobs that can be taken up are, not the migrant jobs, but other jobs. And they don't like it. And they're like, I had to do it legally. Why can't you? And, fuck you, Harris. Biden.
Boy, you have described the situation pretty well, I think. And especially describing your diner waitress situation. I think that's super common. But boy, what the fuck do you even do to? I mean,
it's grassroots, man.
The only thing that comes to mind, what content does your diner waitress consume? It's gonna be reality TV shit.
The only way to make that work is to find a space where it's okay to talk to her about stuff.
Where the hell is that space?
That she finds at least interesting enough to not deny it. It could be her place of worship. She is likely somebody who goes to church at least for certain times, holidays at least. If she's got kids, let's say she's got 3 kids, 1, 3, and 6. She ain't got time for much.
Yeah,
she dresses them up nice and takes them to church once a month.
So she ain't got time to stay up to date with the latest Netflix show, right?
Dude, or she may not have
a television
thing like that. If she got a TV set, she may live in a trailer. I mean, this is, how
how could the liberal cause reach someone like that?
And if they go to church, that's a way to do it.
Church.
And the question is, too, I could put it this way, is that's the question they need to ask.
Right.
Now, the first thing they need to do is ask it, and it's easy enough to find 1,000 people that don't vote, never voted, aren't interested. Find 1,000 of them and ask them, well, how would we get to you? What would it take? Ask them this question: under what conditions would you be willing to consider voting? Under what conditions?
Right.
And listen to what that 1,000 people say. And if you need to pay them $10 to ask them 3 questions, then pay them $10.
Yeah.
But you want to do all this fucking polling about likely voters, fuck that. The polls were wrong again. They weren't tied. They were nowhere near tied. Trump was up 3% in 3,000 counties, and they weren't able to count it.
I think it's mandatory in like Australia, like voting.
Yeah, it's
Like you have to show that. How they enforce that, who the fuck knows?
Trump expects, as he said, that after his 4 years, people won't need to vote anymore. That's what he said, and now we don't know what that means.
Well,
but it generally could mean that he figured that he's just going to give himself an extension of another 2 years or another 4 years by some congressional authorization, or whatever. Is he capable of getting through in this country a constitutional amendment that would so change the Constitution so that the president could be elected for life? What would that take? How many states, and how many states are there? How many more does he have to go now that he's got a juggernaut of administrative capability with Project 2025, completely staffing it and vetting it, ready to go, with some 15,000 people ready to take over those jobs after day one when executive order is signed? Everybody in the following 29 types of positions are terminated, and he lists out in each department 5,000, 6,000 jobs, and he's got the people ready to go the next day. Why? Because they got unlimited money to do all the administrative work. And they got J.D. Vance as their cheerleader and Stephen Miller as their guru. And they're so far ahead of everybody else in this country, the news can't keep up with these appointments because they're coming every day. Another one, another one, another one, another one. There was a reporter who covered roads, transportation and roads, and for Fox, and he wants to name him the head of the Department of Transportation because he did a traffic-related show. And so, if that's
it's exactly as comical as you would write it if you were a satirist. Yes.
I don't know how you could be so creative and make up stuff. I suppose you and I could name a couple of outlandish kind of political, Bullock is one of them that was a political, with Warren Beatty, who he played a politician who, I don't know, did acid or something and could no longer say anything, or no longer wanted to say anything that wasn't true. And so he's raising money at a fundraiser, and he says, the reason you're here, right? And everybody,
well, that's a common trope.
Because you're all Jews.
Yeah, that's a great comedic trope of having a character that can no longer lie. Like there's lots of those movies.
Maybe that's not the name of it, Bullock, whatever. But anyway, your point being, almost like you can't make this stuff up, right? In this case, listen. So many people in this country are polished at understanding, knowing what Trump is doing and understanding in our own way his narcissistic dictator, control, ego maniac, right? And so even we can't believe it when he takes a guy who reported on the road transportation to make him the head of the department. It's even we who've been doing this not only for 4 years, but for 8 years.
Yeah.
When he was in, and then the whole time during Biden, we never stopped ever dealing with what he was doing.
And that is his super fucking power.
That is.
He's at top of mind all the time because he does the dumbest shit that is, if it were boring dumb shit, we wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But it's interestingly dumb shit. Hey. And therefore we share it with each other and we say, can you believe this? And we're still talking about it, and we will be, I try to imagine, like, maybe, because I suppose at this current juncture, I suppose that after 4 years, she'll be so fucking crazy that literally whoever we nominate, even if it's a fucking cadaver like we did last time, will win the next time. But even after that happens, if Trump's heart is still beating, we will still be talking about him until he dies, and then we will totally forget about him.
Well, imagine that one of the things that he does is he just starts the Trump party and takes, the vast majority of the Republicans with him, as if he has to. I don't know what the gain would that be, but he's just the point is that,
I mean, he already has a Trump party.
Well, true. Well,
it's like
to whatever extent he wants to do anything, the question becomes this, and this is why I had said earlier, assuming he can't pull an FDR and run again, is that puts senators in the position, each of whom looks in the mirror and sees a president, that my political future is going to be won in 4 years without you to vie for the presidential office. Since I see myself in that role, I will do what I have to do to make sure that I keep your base, but also that I have, in addition to that, some of the conservative centrists, because that's who I am. You didn't get Scott from down in Florida to be the head of the Senate. You got John Thune. He's a centrist. He's not a kiss-ass Trumper. He's certainly not a never-Trumper, and he's saying the right things now. I'm going to give everybody a chance. We'll review everybody the same. And then on the sidelines, he's saying to Trump, I'm positive of it. Don't do this. Don't make me vote down Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Withdraw it. What is it that you need to avoid this embarrassment? I don't want a confrontation with any of these. And Trump says, I'm glad you called. It's kind of just what I thought you'd do. Well, listen, here's the deal. If I fold for Matt Gaetz, then you got to give me these other 7, these other 12, the rest of them, and that's where they're going to go back and forth. And when the Senate's done, they say, Matt Gaetz was a bridge too far, but good God, and Tabby Goldberg, I think I got her name wrong, but the head of intelligence, who got in hot shit for talking to Syria behind the fucking government's back. What part of that do you think is good for our national security. What's her name? Tulsi Gabbard?
Tulsi Gabbard, yeah. I mean, she's wily and clever and can talk to people. I don't know. It's kind of crazy and stupid.
Well, let's go to the entertainment desk.
Please, anywhere else. I have some entertainment news.
I will say this and then leave it because it's a short conversation.
Yes.
The Penguin series is over. The 8 episodes.
I've seen some YouTube videos about the actor getting into the makeup for the Penguin,
Colin.
and I had no freaking idea who that actor was. I watched like 15 minutes of Penguin, and it was not obvious to me that was
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Yeah.
And so when you realized that, you said, how could I not know it was him? Because you know him very well.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, and so, but let me say this. The conclusion, the final episode, particularly, is so earth-shattering, disturbed is the word, that I can't even tell you. And the plot and where it goes from here, which won't please you because I'm certain not a fan of the Batman series, and that may be softened by who the Batman was. If it was Christian Bale, I liked it, or if it was Michael Keaton, I don't think you liked any of them.
They're okay. I understand the Gotham concept and it's kind of refreshing that there's a superhero without superpowers. Like, that's the Batman trick.
Did you see the Joker and the two Jokers, one with Heath Ledger and then the other one with Phoenix? Did you see those?
We talked about the Joaquin Phoenix one at length. And I feel like I've seen the Heath Ledger one, but it might just be the cultural milieu around that movie.
Yeah,
like, I'm aware that he was awesome at that, and that was his last role, and sadly,
I'd be hard pressed to they're each so incredibly great, and no one, if anyone asked me which one was better, I'd say that's not a fair question.
Yeah, but the Joaquin one, where he took it in a totally different direction,
completely
where it was
different.
Like, and at some point it's like we're stretching this not stereotype, prototype, like we're this personality that is in theory well defined via books. I mean,
well, it certainly
comic
is
books
expanding beyond anybody's,
but it's like wild
notion of these characters as cartoons,
right?
And even beyond what anyone imagined in the most graphic of novels. I mean, the reimagining of the Penguin, which predates the series, because in the movie, the last Batman with
Danny DeVito.
No.
That's the Penguin I know.
The last Batman movie with the actor who was in Twilight, played the vampire, Pattinson. Not James, but
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. So he was the Batman.
Yeah.
And
never saw that. Didn't care.
This made up this characterization by Colin Farrell of the Penguin was in that movie.
Okay.
And so this is a spin-off off what was a pretty minor role. But what's fascinating about this spin of the Penguin, and you mentioned Danny DeVito, he was interviewed recently about it, because he didn't see the whole series, but he saw most of it. The Danny DeVito Penguin was cartoonish with his crazy umbrellas and,
Right.
the way that he was made up and eating fish, and it was still seemed like the days of the corny TV show, the series with Adam West, where it was just way corny. What's happened here with both Jokers and then now with the Penguin in the same vein.
Let me guess, it's gone super fucking dark.
Beyond super dark. It's yes, super dark, but so graphic and so chilling.
Graphic
disturbing.
as in, like, violence?
Yes,
Graphic as in
including but not limited
beautifully
to.
rendered.
Graphic meaning the way that the images are portrayed, and the vim and the vigor of the actors, and each scene is got surprising elements, and it's very graphic. It's cinematography at its best.
Okay.
It's imagery at its best, and so violence, of course, at the core heat of it is a beyond belief violent temperament, which is true in all of these villains. Remember Paul Dano played in the last Batman the Riddler. And
I did not know that, but
oh yeah,
I'm a huge,
well, and so you ever seen Paul Dano in something that wasn't
we're
good?
a huge fan of him in the
Oh yeah,
on this
baby.
podcast, yes.
And so he was frightening.
He's always he always plays the guy that the guy that you would sort of trust, because he's sort of trustworthy looking normal dude, and then often turns out to be a horrible person. But yes, so just boy, I don't know if I want to ask this. What's the? Give me a short backstory on the Penguin and why he is a person and is penguinish and upset in Gotham.
Well, and so
Therefore wanting to cause trouble to
yes,
the people or the city or whatever.
yes. So he grew up with a single mother and had two brothers, and he was born with a club foot and had to wear a leg brace throughout his childhood.
And therefore walks like a penguin.
Like a penguin.
Yeah.
And also was a chubby boy, and also had sharp features, a sharp chin, a sharp nose. In fact, you could play the penguin probably.
And was Penguin was his like nickname from the bullies?
No, not so much that I recall, but I don't, maybe.
Okay.
But by
Sorry
way
to
of
put you on the spot.
background, he shows himself as a monster who'll do anything for his mother's love and attention, including killing his other two brothers. And so, by way of background, you have this
kind of biblical.
twisted monster of a boy whose mother hates him so much that she knows the only way that she can ever live with the knowledge that he murdered her two babies was to have him killed and assassinated. And at the last moment, she decides not to. And the story picks up from that was when he was 12.
Okay.
So by way of background, you have this twisted guy who promised his mother that she would one day live in a penthouse and he would be the king. He would be the king. And people would look up to him, and he was the guy that took care of the neighborhood, and he was the big man. And he started to be a driver for Carmine.
Just saying, more like a penguin house, not a penthouse.
Yes, the Penguin became a driver for one of the mob's top guys' daughters, who ends up in a complication.
Yeah, okay, I'm bored already.
But by way of background, he is as a diabolical background that it helps explain some of it, but not the level of depravity.
So, like, I recently read a book about the Greek gods and the Greek myths, and that was a pretty tame version of the shit that the Greeks were talking about the gods' mothers trying to kill the siblings and shit. Like, it was like that storytelling has been with us for thousands of years, and we love that sort of shit.
Yes, this is Oedipal, to say the least.
I would say Oedipal, but cool. Not that you can eat it, but I would say Oedipal
instead of Oedipal.
Yeah, no one says Oedipal. Oedipal complex.
I'm not hungry. No, thank you.
Yes. Anyway, I have some entertainment corner in news too. So not last weekend, but the weekend before, my wife and daughter abandoned us to go off and do a course about studying and memorizing and stuff, like, in the idea that it was going to help my daughter be a better student. But suffice to say, they were gone for the whole weekend, and my son and I were left alone. And I told my son, hey, I chose a movie for us to watch. We're going to watch a Christmas movie. And his first guess was, is it Die Hard? And this is because he has watched all of... Have you seen the TV show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No.
Have you seen The Office?
The comedy series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you seen Parks and Rec? It's
a little bit.
Okay, so it's in that genre. It's an SNL spin-off show in the same way that both of those kind of are, so Brooklyn Nine-Nine it's this TV show about these cops in Brooklyn, but it's all
with a big guy with gray hair, big tall dude.
No big tall guy with gray hair. The big guy that you might know as a general celebrity is Terry Crews is in it, but the main protagonist is Adam Sandberg, who is a Saturday Night Live person.
Yeah.
And he's this goofball. Anyway, it's a goofy sitcom, kind of.
Do they break the fourth wall like The Office?
No, they don't really. I guess maybe a little bit, but no. But it's funny on so many different levels. Like, they make so many references to pop culture.
And what's the name of it?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Nine-Nine and
Yeah.
Netflix,
Yes.
of course.
Are you on Netflix? No, not yet. but it might be available in other places. But it went for many years. There's probably 7 or 8 seasons.
Wow.
And it ended during COVID when, like, in 2020, turns out we didn't really like the cops anymore because, like, George Floyd had happened, and the whole, we're just going to arrest all the perps because we're the the whole show is kind of a satire on, like, Law and Order a little bit. It's episodic, we're going to catch this perp sort of a TV show. But anyway, the lead character is obsessed with Die Hard, and, like, is all the time pulling these Die Hard quotes and referring to Die Hard because he feels like he's a cop in New York City, and, like,
in the Die Hard fashion.
Like, and just like John McClane, like, this is what John McClane would do. And he's just of the right generation where Die Hard was very formative for him. And as a result, and so my son has watched all of this TV show at least once. And so he, like, knows all of this, like, Die Hard trivia. And so we watched Die Hard together.
And was that the show you picked for him?
We watched the original Die Hard, which was Alan Rickman's first ever film. Like, he's the villain, and he fucking nails the villain role, like, so fucking hard.
His first ever film. I did not know that. He's probably like 31 or whatever. And was this
in the movie?
Just the movie called Die Hard?
Die Hard, yeah.
Yeah, instead of what happened later was Die Hard.
And then there was Die Hard 2 and Die Hard with a Vengeance and stuff. But yeah, it's just called Die Hard. And it's the one that is set in LA. And, like, apparently when they filmed that, they actually, because this was before, like, computer graphics and shit, like, they actually flew these military helicopters around downtown LA, like, for this one night. They had one night to shoot, and they actually, like, did all this actual shit. But it had been years since I'd seen it. So we watched it together, and it was very interesting because, like, there's all these tropes that, like, have been repeated over and over and over again in different ways that, like, when you see the original of a thing, it's like, oh, that's where all that came from. But it was such a well-crafted, like, it really defined the genre of action movie and hostages and machine
Bruce
guns
was
and
just a cool dude,
and this
cool
and the hero that doesn't really want to fucking be here, but now that he's here, he's gonna fucking take everybody down, and how he has this. He's got the walkie-talkie connection to the cop on the ground who is trying to buy a bunch of Twinkies to supposedly take home to his pregnant wife, but, you know, really we all think, oh, he's a fat cop and or whatever, and it just, like, it had all of the stuff that now we associate with this kind of movie, but, like, I think for the first time, and it was. I don't know. It was super cool to re-experience this, and then that was on Saturday, and then on the Sunday we watched Die Hard 2, because why not? Which is the one that is set later. Die Hard 1 is like in 1988 or 89 or something, and Die Hard 2 is set in like 1991, and boy, are they proud of, oh, we're in the 90s now. We have we can make telephone calls from the airplane, and because there were the phones in the airplane, and also, can you fax me over the fingerprints that you took off of that dead guy, so that we can, like, it was all very like, oh, look at this modern technology. Let me fax you this thing, and let me have a phone caller from the airplane, and which was just sort of kind of adorable looking back, but and that was also the other thing was, it was totally plausible to us that the terrorists were Eastern Europeans.
Uh-huh.
They were German with their German accents.
Yeah.
And then
Rutger Howard, is that his name? The guy was the bad guy. Rutgers.
In Die Hard 2?
No, maybe later, maybe 3.
No, later was the 3 was Jeremy Irons. I definitely remember that.
Rutger Hauer was one of the villains, but anyway.
Rutger Hauer. Yeah, so it was really interesting to see, like, how, like, and to think back how in the early 90s we were, in the late 80s we were all concerned with, I don't know, we were still imagining the terrorists as being German, and then later we advanced to Russia, and then later we, of course, went to Arabs, with our terrorist plots. But
where they've been ever since.
Yeah, true. So I don't know. That was just an interesting journey that I went on.
So that was fun. Did you make popcorn?
Popcorn was made. My
Parmesan on it or no Parmesan?
No Parmesan. No cheese.
Oh boy, Parmesan and pepper.
In my mind, the Die Hard movie is the third one, which is Die Hard with a Vengeance, which takes place in New York City, and starring Samuel L. Jackson as the cop that's like stuck with him. But I think that's like my introduction to Samuel L. Jackson. Like, I think that was before he had done other stuff. Like, I just looked up his bio, and as we mentioned before, he was actually in Goodfellas, but Jesus, no one remembers that.
Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, like he was one of the. No, he was a drug dealer or something.
Samuel Jackson has made more money for the motion picture industry than any other movie star.
It's an interesting stat.
He is the highest grossing actor in cinema.
Grossing
over time.
But
not for him, but for the industry.
Highest grossing actors checks out. Worldwide total 14 billion. 14 point. Whoa, he's closely followed by. Do you want to guess?
Don't know.
Wow. Closely. Whoa, this is all fucking Marvel, man. Closely followed by number 2 is Scarlett Johansson.
Really?
And number 3 is Robert Downey Jr.
Huh.
It's all fucking. It's all Marvel. Like of all time, the top grossing films of the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the top 10, 8 of them are Avengers Endgame.
Well, and that's why
fucking
they keep
crazy.
making them. You know, I mean, simple enough.
Like,
I
how
gotta
is
turn the light on. Hang on a second.
how is Chris Pratt ahead of Tom Cruise? What the fuck? Yeah, that's
Sorry about that.
that's a. Where did you go? Hello?
Hello? What's
Oh,
up?
there you are. Yeah. That's a bizarre stat. Like, God, as someone that doesn't care that much about comic books, it's like, it's not unlike the elections, how like everyone clearly cares about something that I don't really give a shit about.
Well, I don't watch any of the superpower ones. I don't watch any. I watch
that's Marvel, yeah.
Batman and now the Penguin.
Yeah,
There's no superpowers in this.
right. You're a DC boy, not a Marvel boy.
Well, I'm not sure if that categorization extends into cartoonish. I doubt it.
Well, I mean, DC does include Superman, but Superman is kind of out of the loop at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, it that kind of sucks.
In fact, the stuff that is all generated, computer generated, is of little interest to me. The Avatar, I couldn't watch more than 15 minutes of it.
Yeah, but your favorite movies have lots of CGI in them too.
Not fantastic, not Fantasia, not flying and you know.
True.
Sure, I mean not cartoonish.
Right.
Not
your Peter Pan flying around.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Yeah.
You know.
Well.
Although
guess what?
My favorite superhero was Spider-Man, who does have Spider-Man doesn't have superpowers.
Well, what the fuck is coming out of his wrists?
He makes that. He created that. He built it.
He didn't build it. He mutated.
It's a thing that goes up his arm, and he's got a pack. He wears. It's under his costume.
He didn't build it though.
Yes, he did.
Batman builds all of his gadgets.
No. Spider-Man.
No, he got bit by a spider.
I know he did, and he does have. He can cling to walls. He can do this and do that.
Okay, I honestly don't know. I don't have any.
But I'm going to tell you that the web
he likes to stand on here.
is a scientific invention that he created and built. He doesn't have the power to shoot a web out of his wrist. It's a mechanical. It's
okay.
FYI.
Okay. I don't
FYI.
have 8 legs to stand on here, so cool.
FYI.
Yeah. So.
Peter Parker.
Yeah. So there's all that.
So I have a story. I have an anecdote.
Okay.
On my way fishing Tuesday.
I've got one too about painting.
In the morning, up 5 o'clock. I'm going to go fishing. Rainy, but warm. I'll drive. 6:30 in the morning, almost there, about an hour away. Suddenly, in front of me, in the headlights, in the rainy dark, are 2 very large deer. First one goes by, and the second one, there's a loud thump, and I see the deer kind of fly off to the side of the road. No much of an effect on my truck that I could tell. I thought maybe I got him in the rump, and just spun him around, and bumped him out of the way. There's no change in my headlights or my driving or the sound of anything. So I just kept on going. What could I do anyway? So I get to the spot where I'm fishing, and it's dawn, and I walk in front of my truck. The entire front end is demolished. The bumper is broken in a million pieces falling off. Both headlights are askew. The grill is broken. One of the fenders is awry. And I just looked at it in total, deer hair everywhere.
Oh dear.
No blood.
Oh dear hair.
And I said, oh, fuck it. I went fishing. I come out from fishing. I go down into Wago, have my brewskis and my food. It's great Mexican. And a little further, I'm driving down the highway. And that fender had kind of broken off and was flapping in the wind. And I pull over, and much to my dismay, the bumper now is hanging precariously in front of the tire.
Oh, jeez.
And could get caught on the tire, and it would just rip the plastic bumper off, but you get an image of it flipping the car over head over tail because it drives on itself. So the stuff is so cheap. I had a blade cutter in my car, right in the cubby.
Who doesn't?
And just cut this plastic off, all of it. So I got bare metal, and I got an estimate today that it's going to be in the $3,000 range.
That's
only $100
that's not
deductible.
that ridiculous.
And for a truck that's worth $7,000, so I don't have to worry about them totaling it.
Jesus.
And it was weird because it was like a thump, and I could see the deer kind of fly away off to the right. I didn't think I had killed it. In fact, I wasn't even sure that I knocked it down the way that it all came down. But I hit the tree with the middle of my car. Not with the right side of it, although it was further to the right.
Right.
But I was driving north, and the deer, as I've described it today, were driving from the west to the east. I said to the woman, the claim inspector today, I said, so I have a question for you. She said, what is it? I said, do you need any venison? She said, excuse me, sir? I said, do you need any venison?
How often do they hear that joke?
Oh, I don't know.
It must be all the time.
Twice in their life.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody jokes with claim operators.
Yeah, probably not. I would be hesitant too, but then also...
I know I do.
So we had our house painted today.
The whole building?
No, like so for a couple years now, we've, like, after we had everything renovated and painted, there were some leaks that I mentioned to you where, like, things were dripping and like the ceiling was peeling, and there's just been water coming in. And over the past year, we have been fighting with the people that manage our building to send builders over to actually fix the leak.
Yeah, I remember there was a roof fixing episode 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, right. It's probably been 2 years ago. And they, it seems like they fixed the leak because it's been 9 months since any leaking has happened. And so finally the insurance people came around and they were like, okay, we'll send a painter to go and paint some stuff. And they took a look at some things and they were like, okay, well, let's see, we're actually going to need to paint like all 4 of these walls here. And
inside your apartment?
Inside our apartment, yeah. In our kitchen, it was just the ceiling.
And
but
because the leaks were fixed.
The leaks have been fixed, and therefore we can fix the damage that they had
without fear of having to do it again.
We hope, Jesus Christ, cross fingers, knock on wood.
That would be you pray.
Yeah, that thing.
So the woman
and so-
today told me her name was Faith. You know what I said? I hope you're doing well today. So clever. I mean, stuff just comes to me.
You could have said, "I believe in you," but whatever.
I want you to know I believe in your song.
I believe in you without any evidence. Yes, and so anyway, that happened today. So like, we had to have lunch together in this other apartment where I work and where I record this amazing show.
You have a little kitchenette in there?
We have a little kitchenette. We were able to warm up some canned beans for lunch. But so the main house like smells like paint, of course. But for most of the day there was, because 98% of painting, no one's gonna tell you this that you don't know, but it's all about like masking the shit you don't want to paint.
Prep work. It's 90% of it.
It's all the masking tape of hanging
drop cloths,
plastic and shit where you don't want the paint to get, and then it's just like paint.
Getting the mix, going to the store, picking the stuff up, having all the tools, packing it all up, getting it all set.
So my house, I literally live on top of a paint store. So
they buy their stuff there?
I think so. They just like went downstairs and got the paint.
I'm on a wholesale basis because the dude I hired to paint the couple of houses that I own, I'm one of his favorite customers, and so he gives me the discount. And so I'm buying $85 gallon paint for $65. Back in the day, I remember when a gallon of paint was $12, $15, $85, But the change, you don't have to prime anymore. The paint, it permeates and grips just like, although I do use a primer myself. But anyway, I go into detail.
Yeah, the glorious new nature of painting at the moment that I'm experiencing is I just have a little code that the previous painters gave us of like 6 digits, and I can give that to the new guy, and they can just go and be like,
yep. Well, nowadays,
same color,
if you have literally a chip of paint from the wall that the color you want to replicate, you bring the chip of paint and they will match.
Sure, of course, it can be red, sure.
In a minute.
Computers, man.
So I finished up the project at the other house we own, my son and I own together, and I got all did I tell you the story about the shingles? How they didn't deliver them and they came broken, and I had to reorder them and pay for them twice, and it was a disaster. But anyway, that's all over.
I think so, but then I don't remember a lot of our conversations, so.
That's right. So know this, there's a story to tell, is that there's this type of fence panel that you buy that is about $75. It's called dog ears, and it's just kind of a pointy picket. And there's another one
pointy
that's rounded in top. And these panels, $74, are made out of pine. Well, the panel of all panels is made out of cedar.
Yeah, baby.
And cedar, you don't have to stain it. Eventually you should, but you don't have to start. It's beautiful reddish. And this cedar panels are built so that either side of the fence looks the same, because there are a bunch of tongue and groove pine cedar boards that are vertically connected to each other, 8 feet long, with like a sandwich boards above them and sandwich boards below them, and they're in a slot. And then on either end of this, there's big 2x3s, 2x4s, and it's framed, and the top is lattice, cedar lattice. They're $179 a piece compared to the pine, which are $74. I bought out 3 stores because they discontinued them, and they sold them to me for $44 a piece. $35 for some of them, and I bought out all 50 that were in 3 stores within an hour, and between the two of us, for whose big giant yards I'm fencing in the spring, we saved $6,000.
Jesus Christ.
And and my last
You can't afford not to save that amount.
well, and here I am redoing this house that's in a poor neighborhood, and it's got an old ratty fence that was put together pretty sloppily, no posts, just tied with wire to the anchor fence that was already on the property, and it's all rotted. And
that's what I would do.
Well, now I'm going to put a fence 3 foot in front of that one, so it's going to be a double fence property, and behind the new fence is a space that can grow bushes, so that up and above the 6 foot high fence, which I build a minimum of 6-8 inches off the ground, so it's more like 6 something.
So there can be another hedge layer.
Yes, and I'm thinking these very, very.
How much privacy does one need? With
enough that
two fences and a hedge.
Enough that when you walk in the backyard, you say, "Oh my God, this is so private. Oh, this is like Shangri-La."
It's just like I'm gonna prance naked in my backyard.
Yes, for example.
Which
I gotta go, Blow.
I think we all do. You gotta go. You gotta go. What do you think
Day after day, I'm more confused. I look for the sun in the pouring rain. This is a game that I hate to lose. Ain't it a shame? Ain't it some pain? Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. Wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Do-do-do-do-do.
Do-do-do-do.
Ciao, baby.
Okay, that's it for episode number 235. You can find some show notes at happyhour.fm/235, where there are links to like that highest grossing actors page, which is kind of fun to check out. And you can help support the show at patreon.com/happyhour, where at the Gin Martinis level, you can watch video of this nonsense. See you next week, maybe.